Waves carried his music farther than he ever could. One listener changed everything. Have you ever felt like you were pouring your heart out to an empty room? That's how Leo felt. Every evening, he would wheel his old, weathered piano down to the shore. The salty air and the rhythmic crash of the waves were his only audience. He played not for fame or fortune, but because the music was a part of him, a language he couldn't hold inside. He'd lost his parents young, and the piano was his inheritance, his only real connection to them. The keys, worn smooth by his father's hands and his own, felt like home. He'd play as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in fiery oranges and soft purples. He poured all his loneliness, his hopes, and his quiet joys into the melodies. The tunes would drift out over the water, mingling with the cries of the gulls. To anyone walking by, he was just a strange man with a piano on a beach. They'd smile, maybe take a quick picture, but they'd keep walking. Leo didn't mind. He wasn't playing for them. He was playing for the sea, for the memory of his parents, for himself. One evening, a storm was brewing on the horizon. The wind was stronger than usual, whipping his hair across his face and threatening to carry his sheet music away. Most people had already left the beach, seeking shelter, but Leo stayed. The approaching storm seemed to echo the tempest in his own heart, and he played with a ferocity he rarely unleashed. His fingers danced across the keys, a frantic, beautiful ballad against the roaring wind and waves. He was so lost in the music that he didn't notice her at first. She was standing a short distance away, wrapped in a large coat, her face partially hidden by a scarf. She wasn't just passing by. She was listening, truly listening. Her eyes were fixed on him, and in them he saw not pity or curiosity, but understanding. When he finished the last note, the final chord hanging in the charged air, she didn't clap. She simply walked closer. "That was beautiful," she said, her voice soft but clear over the wind. It sounded like a story. Leo was taken aback. No one had ever spoken to him like that about his music. "Thank you," he managed to say. It's my father's piece. He was teaching it to me before he trailed off, the words catching in his throat. "I understand," she said, and the way she said it, he knew she did. Her name was Clara. She was a writer, searching for inspiration, for a story that felt real. She had been walking this beach for weeks, feeling just as lost as he did. She told him she had heard his music from her small cottage up on the cliffs every single evening. It had become the soundtrack to her solitude, a nightly comfort that she looked forward to. She said his music gave her hope. From that day on, Clara was his audience of one. She'd come down to the beach every evening, sometimes with a flask of hot tea to share. She never interrupted, never made requests. She just listened. And as he played for her, Leo's music began to change. The loneliness was still there, but it was softer now, woven with threads of hope and companionship. He started composing new pieces, songs filled with the warmth of her presence and the light in her eyes. One evening, she brought a small notebook with her. "Your music gave me a story," she said, her cheeks flushed with excitement. She began to read. It was a tale of a lonely lighthouse keeper who sent messages to the world through his light, hoping someone would see. It was a story about connection, about finding a kindred spirit in the vast emptiness. It was his story, and hers, beautifully intertwined. Leo realized that all this time, he thought he was playing for the sea, for the ghosts of his past, but the waves had been carrying his music to the one person who needed to hear it most. His melodies had crossed the distance, and in return, her words had bridged his own solitude. His piano by the sea was no longer a symbol of his isolation. It was a beacon, and it had guided someone home, right to him. It just goes to show, you never know who is listening, and how your personal passion might just be the one thing that changes someone else's world, and in turn, your own. Thanks for watching. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like and subscribe for more. See you next time.